hyped websites like Pets.com, and he knew their parent company, Intermix Media, needed money to keep up the skyrocketing growth they'd experienced in the past 2 years, lest they crash and burn like Friendster. Anderson wasn't the type of cool guy who balked when his beloved indie act signed to a major. His favorite band in the world was Weezer, for goodness sake. So what's the worst that could happen? And why was Bicknock Cow mad enough to throw a DVD at Anderson's head? Bicknock Cow was a super-wired, very online music fan in the 90s, well before terms like streaming, MP3, or blog had entered the public consciousness. She first joined Myspace in late 2003, well before you, I, or anyone we knew did. Some things impressed her, some things didn't. But the main thing that stayed with her about Anderson's Myspace page was that under favorites, he had listed alternative rock one-hit wonder Superdrag. Hailing from Knoxville, Tennessee, Superdrag had one big hit in 1996, Sucked Out, a lament that MTV and the corporate music industry were sucking the true feeling out of music. With all due respect, and I mean that, both Sucked Out and follow-up single Destination Ursa Major are bangers. Repping Superdrag is not akin to someone listing Pavement under their favorites, so you know they're hip. There's an authenticity that comes with owning up to unfashionable tastes, and Knock Cow remembers thinking, "Oh, he can't be too bad," she says. "It's not the kind of band that you would brag about liking, because they weren't cool." She friended him, and they chatted and started hitting the nightclubs together, scoping out fresh talent to feature on Myspace. Her plan for the summer of 2004 was to travel on the Lollapalooza tour as a volunteer for the political action committee Move On, helping to register voters for that fall's election. Those plans fell through after the show was canceled due to poor ticket sales. Rumors have long circulated that the festival was canceled by the promotions company Clear Channel, now known as Live Nation, which had ties to George W. Bush, and didn't want an uptick in younger voters. Instead, she joined Myspace as the music editor, but you may as well have called her the head fan in charge. She helped develop features that made the site a daily or hourly visit, which included a music player, a chart of the most popular unsigned artists that day, and an editorial page that highlighted both established and completely unknown artists, in the process creating careers and bestowing dreams. The hours were long, the nights were late. The joy of knowing you'd helped someone find their favorite new artist or their new #1 fan was reward enough. She was aware that Intermix was being courted heavily by Viacom, owner of MTV, which Anderson had termed a dinosaur he was out to destroy. But while Knock Cow had DeWolf's ear and trust, there were so many cool bands to discover and only so many hours in a day. We were always talking about deals and things that might be rumbling through, the Facebooks and the Friendsters. I knew about a possible deal with Viacom. I didn't know about the deal with Fox. As the company grew, I became less connected to that aspect, all of the biz, she says. I just didn't have the space and time to be part of it, so I really didn't know that that was happening. And so when the deal came down, I was really upset and sometimes really rude. The idea that Fox News was a mendacious and unapologetic mouthpiece for reactionary right-wing talking points and was having a corrosive impact on the body politic was in the cultural air by 2005. But if you weren't mainlining The Daily Show, you might not have picked up on it. A few years later, it would be much harder to avoid this truth, unless you really loved how sand felt against your face. By 2005, the re-election of George W. Bush still stung. Despite both of his wars increasingly turning into debacles, he won a decisive victory, partly due to a sickening anti-gay marriage stance, and partly due to the relentless cheerleading of Fox News, drowning out any criticism of his failed record. And now, the CEO of the Fox News evil empire was going to have his hand on Knock Cow's baby. When they sold Myspace, I lost my mind.